Hello everybody. So today I thought by talking to you about a play that's very special to me. It's a play that's called Waiting for Godot. It's by Samuel Beckett. Now, I'm sure a lot of people out there know Waiting for Godot. But because it's actually so good and I love it, it's a play that I have spent a very long time reading. I've performed in it a few times. I've even seen it on stage with Sir Patrick Stewart and Sir Ian McKellen, which was super cool. I even got to meet them afterwards at the stage door, which was excellent. I loved it. But yes, so people that might not know Waiting for Godot. So what we have is, we have two characters, Vladimir and Estragon. Now, they have been friends for years. They are the worst best friends in the world, basically. They can't stand being with each other, but they also can't stand being without one another. It's that relationship that you know for a fact. You might say that you don't like each other, but really deep down you love each other, and really deep down you know that you cannot possibly survive without that other person. And that's exactly the same way within this play. It starts off with an argument. It's an argument about almost nothing. It's so petty, and that's the best thing about this play. It shows the frailty of this friendship. It's a friendship that's built on mutual respect for one another, but also it's the fact that they've lived so closely with one another. They've seen times changing all the way around Europe, and because of this, imagining life without the other one is almost impossible for them. They can't even imagine it, which is quite incredible to think about it, I think. So, over the space of this play, they have arguments, they make up, they decide to do things, but they never follow through. And it's one of those continual things, which is, it's A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B. Right up to where they meet Pozzo and Lucky. Now, Pozzo and Lucky have similarities, but also big differences between Vladimir and Estragon. Unlike Vladimir and Estragon, who are friends on equal standings, Pozzo and Lucky are master and slave. They are not friends. If anything, Pozzo hates Lucky. Lucky loves Pozzo. Another difference is, between Estragon and Vladimir, they have this very free and very open relationship whilst discussing things. Pozzo and Lucky do not. It's that very old-fashioned British idea. Master has all the opinions, says everything. You do whatever master tells you. Slave will do. It's the very first time you meet them, you see it. You see Lucky come on first, and he's got a very large rope around his neck that goes for around maybe 10 feet. And there's Pozzo. And physically, they're very different. Pozzo is meant to be this rather chubby, well turned out sort of individual. Lucky is meant to be dressed up in rags. The complete opposite of Vladimir and Estragon, who they look very similar, but they also look like tramps. So, another thing. There's a fourth character, the boy. Now, throughout the first half of this play, we are very much aware of the fact that Vladimir and Estragon are waiting for someone called Godot. Now, 3 times during the first act, the conversation comes up between Vladimir and Estragon and Pozzo later on about them waiting for this Godot. But also, are they at the right place? Are they on the right day? Are they even in, the right time? So, at the end of the first act, after Pozzo and Lucky have walked off, a boy turns up and says, unfortunately, Godot will not be able to come. But he will come tomorrow. That is the end of the first act. Now the second act. And it comes as sometimes as a bit of a surprise if it's the first time you've ever seen the play, but it is almost a complete mirror image of the first. Now, what I'm going to say to you is that not the same things are said, not the same actions redone or anything like that, but what it is you are aware that it's the same things happening again from the first act, but just slightly differently and maybe not in the same order. Of course they don't talk about the same things, they don't do anything like that, but what they do is the same repetitiveness that happens. It's them making a decision and not being able to follow it through, and not making another decision and not making that go through either. It's also the whole thing of them waiting for Godot. Now, in the second act, when Pozzo and Lucky arrive, unlike in the first act, where you have you see them as master and servant, or master and slave, sorry. But in the second act, you see them not only as master and slave, but also as a blind man and deaf man, which alters that relationship, but you can still see it very much as a master and servant. Vladimir and Estragon, even though that they do not have any actual physical difficulties throughout the play, you see that they've also got quite mental difficulties as well. Now, what I mean by this is that, like I said earlier on, about them not being able to really see life without their partner. So, at the end of the second act, very much like at the end of the first act, a boy turns up. Now, Vladimir and Estragon ask, are you the same boy who turned up yesterday? And they say no. He says, that was my brother. But I bring the same message. Godot will not be able to come today, but he assures me that he will come tomorrow. So, in the audience's mind, when you're leaving, or just after the play, and when you leave the auditorium, you know for a fact that this play isn't just happening on stage. You can imagine, after you've just finished, the next day's happening, and the same thing's going to happen, and the day after that. But also you can imagine the fact that just possibly, for days and for days and for days before this show, the similar things have been happening. These two tramps are sitting on this road. A master and a servant comes and joins them. They leave. a boy turns up. He says, unfortunately, the person you're waiting for isn't going to come. He goes. The next day, two tramps, a master and a servant. They leave. A boy saying, unfortunately, the person you're waiting for can't come. These two tramps are sitting on this road. A master and a servant comes and joins them. They leave. A boy turns up. He says, unfortunately, the person you're waiting for isn't going to come. He goes. The next day, two tramps, a master and a servant. They leave. A boy saying, unfortunately, the person you're waiting for can't come. Same thing, over and over again. It is so repetitive, but also it's the best show and it's the best story ever, because it shows you how boring life can really be. Because it really is. It is basically saying, even if you have had the most enjoyable, most exciting life in the world, you know that life without a true close friend cannot be enjoyable. Because whatever way you look at it, and especially when you've seen the play and if you read the play, you get the idea that even though Vladimir and Estragon have gone through all the stuff they've gone through, and they've lived a very long life, and they've ended up on this deserted road with each other, and they're just waiting for this person that will never ever turn up. You can tell that because of the fact that they're with that person, they are happy. They might be living in the worst poverty in the world, but because they're together, they know they can live and survive through it. Now, there is of course, there's a film. There was a film made of Waiting for Godot that you can order in Amazon. If you can't see it, I would advise you to go and see the film. It is the exact script that is on stage. If you really want to, here is the play script. I got this out of off Amazon. So, and it's a really good play. So if there's any aspiring actors out there that really want to read a really good play, then please, I would urge you to read that, and if you can see it, see it. But yes, and if you have the opportunity even to play it, to be in this play, do, because it will actually change your life. Because it's so, you go into it and you think it's going to be a pile of rubbish, but really it's one of those multi-layered plays that is incredible to see. So I just want to say thank you very much, and I hope you all have a very good week, and I shall see you next week. Bye bye.